When President Museveni coasted to a fourth term with a landslide, not only did he beat his rivals in untrodden territory, but his ruling NRM party also won an overwhelming majority in parliament. Now analysts fear that the writing on the wall is clear. The last effective bastion of opposition to his government is no more. In effect, the just concluded election wrote the political obituary of the opposition in the 9th parliament.
The opposition, which have got nowhere to exploit, are going to go to climb the doldrum. And I can assure you that the death or the death of the opposition in this country has been cemented by this election of 2011.
With due respect, Mr. Edward Sekandi, I think has simply been an agent of the president in parliament. He has not been a speaker of the Ugandan parliament. And I think that the state ensured that he returns to parliament under very dubious circumstances, even in the previous election.
With a bloated patronage system and a house where about 76% of the lawmakers subscribe to the ruling party, pundits say parliament is now fully an appendage of the executive.
I think that parliament, in essence, is now, actually for some time, has been an extension of the executive rather than an independent arm of government.
This huge parliament will be more or less a caucus of the movement.
Many voices of dissent and lawmakers who kept government on its toes fell on the wayside, giving Museveni a blank check to rule in the just concluded election. Whereas new voices like Medad Segona Semujunganda have been elected and Jack Sabiti returned after years in the cold, analysts say their tones will hardly penetrate the concrete barriers of a house whose allegiance is firmly rooted in the presidency.
A parliament which is A, too big, too huge and therefore too expensive. A parliament which will be full of amateurs, people who are not tested, and people who really have come into politics as a job.
I believe that the role of checks and balances as understood in liberal democracy and constitutionalism really is non-functional in the African context.
Many spirited lawmakers who had formed the core of the rabble-rousing opposition but lost in the just concluded election include Oyam North MP Ben Wacha, the leader of opposition Professor Ogenga Latigo, and Chua County MP Livingstone Okello. As the small band of the executive's critics dwindle, the majority remain rubber stamps while others have been silenced. Political science don Dr. Aaron Mukwaya, taking stock of the appalling record of the 8th Parliament, fears that the 9th Parliament will be far worse, a house of self-seekers with a submissive devotion to the presidency. The opposition has been accused of failing to steer its support from across the expansive and plush offices in the city centre to the grassroots, leaving the NRM in firm control. But to what extent did this play a role in what many see as a pseudo-parliament that will miserably fail in checking government excesses?
The opposition did not work as a united front. It was a splintered opposition, and I think this discouraged some of the people who would have wanted to see a united opposition.
Those in power, those who are in charge of the state, must encourage the opposition to survive and thrive.
The role of parliament now to some political observers is a fait accompli to blindly serve the interests of the executive. Emam Taizibwa, NTV 11.